Buenas tardes, mujeres. Buenas tardes, mujeres. Thank you for having me here at She the People. As I like to say, ella es el pueblo. I am the executive director of CHIRLA, and I'm also the co-chair of FIRM, the Fair Immigration Reform Movement. FIRM is our country's largest immigrant rights organizing network, made up of 33 state and regional rights organizations. The majority of them are run by women, immigrant women. Today, I am honored to be joined by my fellow FIRM executive directors, my sisters from Colorado, from Arkansas, from New Mexico, from Texas, from Kansas, Arizona, Alabama, Washington, D.C., and right here from California. One of our very own, Pramila Jayapal, used to be the executive director of One America. She ran for Congress in Washington State, and she won, and she's there with us fighting the fight. So we are a proud cohort of immigrant women. At FIRM, we join our power to ensure that immigrants are fully and equitably included in this nation, and that immigrant families remain together without fear of persecution and deportation. We fight for just and humane change to our immigration laws so that immigrants and refugees are welcomed in our country and are allowed to thrive with their families. I am a proud immigrant woman from Mexico. I am a proud daughter of Rosy Astorga, a woman like so many other immigrant women today who came to this country so I could have a chance. She wanted me not to go hungry and to have an education and the opportunities that she only dreamed about for herself. I am here today to demand, to ask that you continue to take action for our immigrant and refugee sisters in this country and around the world. There are approximately 21 million immigrant women in the United States, and in the world, women make up half the world's 244 million migrants. Half of the 68 million forcibly displaced people, refugees, and asylum seekers are women. Let me tell you, let me remind you, it is war, it is violence, it is rape, it is feminicide, and it is poverty that are the generators of migration. Our sisters with their children are escaping unimaginable threats to their lives. Developing countries are receiving 85% of the world's migrants and refugees. So there's a lot of women here, many who are running for office, and so I ask you, as women leaders, we must demand that the U.S. do its part and receive the many of the very people who have been harmed by this country's foreign relations decisions and intervention in their countries. We must take responsibility. We cannot turn a blind eye to this humanitarian crisis, and we must stop the Trump administration's cruelty and obsession with tearing families apart at the border and in our neighborhoods. Today, immigrant women with DACA are at the mercy of the courts to remain in this country. Hundreds of thousands of Haitian, African, Honduran, Salvadoran women with temporary protected status are being told to leave this country even though they have been working here and thriving here for years, for decades. Their children are U.S. citizens. And every day, immigrant women in the workplace are exploited and sexually harassed because their undocumented status makes them vulnerable. The situation is dire. And nonetheless, despite this reality, immigrant women are standing up and fighting back. They are ferociously fighting to keep their families together. They are crossing borders to safeguard their life and that of their children. They are fighting in their unions and at ROC and at so many other worker centers for better wages and to stop sexual harassment. They are the leaders of our community. At CHIRLA, and at many of the other immigrant rights organizations, immigrant women are the ones that are leading sophisticated electoral campaigns. I see women in my organization, young and old, hitting the streets and knocking on doors to compel others to have the courage that they had to defend their families. In California, our purpose is to get to 216,000 voters to come out and vote with courage, to unite our vote for a better future. This is our home, and so this is our fight. Immigrant women are taking action across this country to make justice real in everyone's lives. We know that our liberation is tied to the liberation of our African American brothers and sisters, because when they have full citizenship, we can too. We're fighting for LGBTQ rights because we know that love knows no borders and no gender boundaries. We're fighting for housing, access to education, better wages, and for criminal justice reform, because only by uniting our power can we change the unequal systems that deny us our humanity. I will conclude by bringing, once again, the spirit of Harriet Tubman to our gathering. As a child, I remember learning about her and her perilous journeys to help set people free through the Underground Railroad. I came to this country as a child, undocumented, in the dark, through mountains and through rivers. And when I read about her, I thought she was leading people like me and my family. Harriet Tubman demanded courage from those who followed her, because she knew that turning back was not an option, and that freedom demands every ounce of fierceness in our spirit. Sisters, we must be fierce. We must stand together. We will not turn back because our freedom and our lives are on the line. Se puede. Se puede. Thank you very much.